Here to discuss, former CIA station chief and Fox News contributor Dan Hoffman. Dan, good to see you tonight. Thanks for being with us. Right now, the big issue is the timeline. Does Iran come back on the peace proposal? If they do, what do they come back with? And then what does it lead to over the next 2 weeks, 30 days? What do you think?
Yeah, those are the big questions that we're asking. I think Iran will come back with some sort of a proposal, a counter-proposal, because they don't want the United States to restart our kinetic strikes, which have been so damaging to their military infrastructure. But the Iranians are known for being tough negotiators. I very much doubt that whatever they send us will be the last iteration of this peace negotiation, of a deal. But it may be a step, albeit a small one. And the Trump administration will need to determine, based on what Iran gives us and behind-the-scenes intelligence reporting, whether we should proceed with further negotiations or whether it's time to dial up the military pressure, keep up the blockade, and induce a better response from the Iranians.
Were the Iranians anticipating the rest of the world putting pressure on the United States because other countries are in need of the oil and resources that come out of the Persian Gulf? Because with, say, West Texas Intermediate falling again today slightly, and it's below $95 a barrel, and so much is actually flowing out of the region. There was a report that Saudi Aramco and then the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company are actually sneaking oil through the Strait of Hormuz in a way that has been happening in recent weeks, and that even China has helped balance the oil market by cutting its imports from Iran and really kind of easing prices globally.
Well, I think Iran was banking on the damage to the global economy that closing the Strait of Hormuz would cause. They wanted to offset the benefits to the United States of the blockade, which is pressuring Iran. And I think they're doing that not only to influence our allies in the region and beyond, but I also think they want to influence U.S. domestic politics. We're heading into the midterms. And both parties are talking about affordability and oil prices and where are you going for Memorial Day weekend. So I think Iran wanted to get into that game and seek to influence U.S. foreign policy by playing with our domestic discourse on the economy.
You know, there's a lot of debate about how long they can last. And I guess you have to define what last means. But there's some estimates from the administration. Look, they're a week or two out from having to shut in wells, and they're going to, that's catastrophic for their oil industry. Other people are saying, it could be a heck of a lot longer than that, Dan. What's your read on what does last mean, and how long can the regime last here?
Yeah, so let me preface this by saying that's a great question that President Trump's intelligence community should be answering. I have no doubt that Director Ratcliffe has given the president his best assessment, along with Secretary of Treasury and Commerce and the entire national security team. I will tell you that those with whom I've spoken have said that Iran could last, a month or two, maybe even 3 months. They also have a super high threshold for pain when it comes to their own citizens. They just don't care. And they've got a lot of guns so that in the event of any public protests, the IRGC and the besieged military force will take those weapons out and shoot their own population. We know that. And that's the challenge that we face with Iran in terms of the leverage that we seek to impose upon them. And the question, again, that lays in the background, whether we need to dial up strikes on Iran's leadership, they'll understand that if we take another series of strikes against their leaders who are maybe not coming to the negotiating table in good faith.
Well, that would certainly get Xi Jinping's attention and Communist China's attention, because this time next week, President Trump will meet with Xi Jinping. And Dan, just what will China pay attention to? because China's role in all this, Iran an ally, China still supplying drone factories in Iran and Russia despite U.S. sanctions. But China, as I mentioned, has also pulling back on its oil exports. The swing in its oil exports has been so significant. It equals the total consumption of Japan. It's double the amount supplied by the United Arab Emirates pipeline. So that has actually helped give the United States more time, if you will, by keeping oil prices in check. So where does China stand here and now in all of this?
Well, I think this is a part of the overall U.S. bilateral relationship with China. The Chinese want leverage over the United States. They do an inordinate number of nefarious things to us, stealing our intellectual property, militarizing the South China Sea, conducting massive espionage operations. Just last week, a Beijing police station set up in New York City to find dissidents and local ethnic Chinese and put the hurt on them. The guy who was running that police station is going to go to jail. There are a host of things we've got to be concerned about. The Iran issue is certainly one of them. 90% of Iran's oil exports were going to China. China was providing Iran with engines that powered those Shahed drones. So there's a lot to get at here. China would like to reduce or eliminate altogether U.S. influence in the Middle East. Iran is their ally, and we have to take that into account as the president goes to Beijing and begins these painstaking negotiations on a panoply of issues, including trade and arms control and AI, a host of issues. This is going to be an incredibly important summit.
Dan, always great to have your expertise. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.